Hello, this is a business presentation for MBA 690 Strategic Management, Concordia University, Nebraska. I'm Tanner Randall. I'll be covering Verizon Communications Incorporated today. So, a brief history of Verizon. They were established in 2000 with the merger of Bell Atlantic and GTE corporations, and to this date is still known as the largest merger all time in business. Verizon launched their 3G network in 2002, and 8 years later they launched their 4G LTE network, which is their largest to date. They started findings of their 5G network in 2015 and then ultimately launched that in major select cities in this past fall in 2019. Mission, vision, and core values. So the mission and vision of Verizon is laid out there straight from their website. Really want to take a look at the core values here. Customer experience, growth, profitability, speak human, and keep our word. These are really the core purpose of Verizon and who they are as a company, and really allow themselves to position themselves to truly be there for the customer moving forward in their strategies. Strategic management. Verizon operates in the differentiation generic strategy, but ultimately has four other intensive strategies: market penetration, market development, product development, and diversification. All of these collectively allow Verizon to operate the way they do, continue to increase their revenue and market share in the industry. Porter's Five Forces analysis. Competition is by far the strongest force in the industry. The telecommunications industry is very, very competitive with three major players: AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. The bargaining power of buyers and suppliers are both moderate forces in the industry. The threat of substitutes is another strong force because of the low switching costs in the industry. And then the threat of new entrants is a very weak force in the industry. The cost to get into this industry is very costly. External factor evaluation looks at the opportunities and threats of Verizon, gives it a total EFE score. We don't want that number to fall below 2. Verizon has 2.76 here, but to point out some of their opportunities, international expansion is a huge opportunity for Verizon. They're well established in the U.S., so there's opportunity to go internationally. And then also their service improvement is going to be something that they always seek as an opportunity to continue to touch on those services and improve those. Some threats, obviously the competitors are going to be their main threat, AT&T and T-Mobile. And then government regulations is another big one that goes hand in hand with their international expansion. It's important that they adhere to different government policies in foreign countries and know of the politics there before entering as well. Competitive profile matrix really looks at Verizon, how they stack up to their competitors based on these critical success factors you see over here. And really, this is a way for me to rate and position these three companies. Right now I have Verizon just a little bit ahead of AT&T, but really they are neck and neck. T-Mobile is just really kind of lagging behind. They haven't really done a whole lot to really kind of solidify themselves in the industry and kind of catch up to Verizon and AT&T. Internal factor evaluation looks at strengths and weaknesses. It gives a total IFE score. Again, we don't want to see that number go below 2. Really, the big strengths that we see with Verizon are brand image, their 4G market, and then being the largest carrier in the U.S. Some weaknesses that really kind of hurt Verizon are that they're mainly regional, and that's why the international expansion is such a big opportunity. And then the price, obviously, but it's not so much a weakness because it's not so much of a big weakness because of the high prices in the industry themselves. Again, touching kind of on that low switching costs. Integration strategies. So Verizon operates as they have a horizontal integration strategy. What this does, it allows them to increase their market power and product differentiation. Shortly after AT&T acquired DirecTV, Verizon acquired AOL, which ultimately, and their subsidiaries, which ultimately acquired Adapt TV. And this allowed them to kind of really enter into that TV streaming service. And Verizon did announce that they do plan on entering and rolling out a TV and streaming service that would really match Netflix and kind of get neck and neck with AT&T's acquisition of DirecTV. The BCG matrix here is just really shows that Verizon is considered a star in the industry, a high relative market share position, and then a high sales growth rate. Verizon has seen a 4% increase in revenue in the past year after they've rolled out their new strategy. It's really shows that Verizon does have a lot of room there to grow in terms of revenue and market share, but they are a industry leader in that wireless carrier that services there as well. The space metrics kind of lays out those three competitors: Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. We have conservative, aggressive, defensive, and competitive. Right now, Verizon's listed as an aggressor. They did just restructure and kind of re-strategize their business here. So that's definitely on the aggressive side. AT&T remains competitive in the industry. They do have some more revenue than Verizon, but the market share is kind of neck and neck. T-Mobile is just kind of really on that line of conservative and defensive. They really haven't done anything in the industry to kind of catch up to these two front runners. They just kind of still lagging behind. So the QSPM matrix looks at is basically an entire SWOT analysis of two strategies, one being the restructure and the other being the 5G implementation. So really kind of hop back from page to page here. We see the STAS number here at the bottom, or STAS, the 4.97 and 4.08. We really want that number to be above 4 to really tell us that if these strategies are a go. You do want to go through with these strategies. So we see kind of with the collectiveness of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats between these two strategies, the restructure has the higher score and should be noted as the main strategy for Verizon. It's a little bit of a financial analysis of Verizon here in the past 4 years. Really kind of had mediocre years in 2015, 2016. Big jump in 2017. That's kind of the year that sticks out to me. They had a higher earnings per share, higher net profit margin than the other 3 years. That really had a great year financially. Really look in the next 2 years to see Verizon have very solid financials moving forward as well. It's recommended by market analysts that you buy and hold Verizon currently. I believe that they're really anticipating Verizon to have a boom in stock price here in the next few years with their restructure and new strategies. Let's touch a little bit about ethics on Verizon. Verizon is a very ethical company. Their credo, we believe integrity is at the core of who we are. This principle governs every aspect of how we run our business, from our board of directors, how our board of directors operates, to our engagement with stakeholders. They really split up their ethics into 4 categories: a code of conduct and anti-corruption, corporate governance and risk management, and human rights. These are all very important in terms of employment with Verizon. There's various tests and things that employees have to pass and do in order to be employed there and continue their employment. Verizon does a great job of laying everything out, giving various examples of what's wrong, what's right type of deal, and then with the continuous testing that they put their employees through. So that's very important for Verizon. So some recommendations here for Verizon. To just kind of backtrack, in 2018, they named Hans Vestberg their chairman and CEO, and he was only with the company 1 year, so that just kind of shows you the praise that they have for him and his leadership. So he actually rolled out a new structure of Verizon into 4 separate groups, and those groups are listed here: Verizon Consumer Group, Verizon Business Group, Verizon Media Group, Oath, and Global Network and Technology. Each group has either 1 or 2 kind of leaders that are going to kind of take charge with each group. But mainly their new strategies are to put the customer first, kind of what we saw in their core values, and then really help with the implementation and rollout of their new 5G network. So obviously just with that so close, only a year ago, and they've already seen a 4% increase in revenue. The recommendation really is to just continue with the restructure strategy. I really truly believe that, even looking at the market analysts' recommendations with Verizon's stock, with this new strategy layout and kind of restructure, Verizon will continue to see a lot of success and growth in this industry.